Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Software. Today I'm doing an unboxing on this Specna SA-J71 Core AK-74M. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because those interactions help the channel get seen by the YouTube algorithms. That helps the channel grow. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, the Linktree link down below will take you to all of my socials, including my Discord. Please do stop by and say hello. If you want to support the channel at the top level, the join button is down below. That will take you to the channel memberships on YouTube. 99p a month, totally optional, really appreciated. Custom videos, custom giveaways, and a bit more of a say in the running of the channel as well. So today then we're going to get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any more time. We've got the Specna Core AK series. Following a request on my Discord, a few people suggested it's worth having a look at. So we've got one in. So the box itself then is quite a nice little box. Looks a little bit different to normal. We've got a picture underneath, not quite the same model, but it is part of the J series. We've got actually, sort of bordering on making it look a little bit like it is an actual gun case, which is quite nice. So I'm going to flip it around because it opens this way. So we're going to lift this open and get into there. So we've got on this side, we've got a little sheet for to access the owner manual and a few safety instructions. We've got some stickers, which is always nice, and we've got a little catalogue of Specna stuff as well. Get that out of the way. We've got a little card that tells us our downgraded velocity, so that it's now below 350, does not exceed 350, does not exceed 1.14 joules. A little bit of silicon, absolutely essential. We've got our the S-Mag high cap, Specna high cap, and then we've got the actual AK itself. Now I am a big fan of AKs. Let me just check. There is an unjamming rod under there as well in the bottom. So let's get rid of this box. And there is the AK itself. Now, I am not going to lie to you. I've had this out of the box once prior to this unboxing, just to have a look at it. And despite all the adverts saying, it's a nylon body and things like that, I was convinced at first opening that that was actually a metal body. Now, I can assure you, it is not. It is nylon. It looks like it convinced me that I'd been mistakenly sent a metal-bodied one. The only thing that sort of told me otherwise was the weight of it. It is remarkably light. In fact, the majority of the weight is around here and into the stock. It's quite back heavy, if I was going to say anything. But if there was a real off weighting to it, I would have said it was more in the rear, and it's quite nice to hold. It is convincing to look at that is just like a sort of a matte paint job, and it's only when it starts getting marked and scratched that you can start to see that it's not actually metal at all. But there is a surprising amount of metal accessories on this anyway. So we'll start at the front there. We've got the metal muzzle brake. This will remove if you retain this little pin in here. There's a little tiny pin just in here. Let me get a flat head. So if I hold that pin down, this is a normal. Ooh, I'm losing it. There we go. There is there when it wants to. There we go. So this comes off all the way. There we go. Now this is on a spring, and in fact, I'll bring it around and show you. So this little pin here is on a spring. This spring sits, there is a pin here that pushes out this way, at which point then this pin will come out, the spring will come out and everything, but don't need to worry, this is going to help retain it. So basically underneath here, it's there, look, there is a little grub screw, set screw right there. If I undo that set screw, there is a 14mm negative thread under there. That is a metal end cap on our metal outer barrel and metal sight post. Or is it? This front sight post is actually nylon, I think. It is nylon. Yeah. So it's plastic, well, nylon front sight post, but the outer barrel is metal. I'm just going to screw this back down. Again, I'm just going to retain that pin out of the way because all it does is it clicks into our way. So got our metal front metal muzzle brake, nylon front. We've got a metal outer barrel, nylon on the front there. We've got a mixed sort of bits of metal with nylon upper handguard there that retains back down. We've got a metal gas rod underneath. We've got, as you would expect, a polymer handguard. We've then got metal front sight block, because it's probably important that that's metal, because that takes a lot of the pressure and the weight of a lot of things. Metal upper, metal dust cover, top cover, whatever you want to call it, cover, with a nylon lower. When we retract the charging handle, we have got a traditional sliding AK, top adjuster in there. We've got a metal selector plate, which is a little bit loose. It probably needs tightening down. It does definitely need to. So on an AK, your top setting is safe, then you've got auto, then you've got single shot down at the bottom, or semi-auto at the bottom. The pistol grip, as with most AKs, it's pretty damn comfortable and easy to get hold of. And the mag in an AK goes in at the front and locks in at the back. And then to release it, you click your thumb and the mag comes out and away. I'll discuss the mag in a second. We've even then got a metal side mount on here to put either a side mounted scope or a side mount to give you a rail on top. I prefer the little rails that sit in there, the rear sight rails that give you a little red dot space or something like that. We've then got a folding stock, again nylon, clicks into place really nicely and solidly. Now that is a quick change spring at the back there, which I'm happy to say. What I am going to say is, with this nylon body, so far it seems really strong and tough. I'm going to suggest that this is going to be the weak area, is this hinge area. If this gets dropped, or knocked too vigorously, I think this is where it's going to fail, because this is just thin nylon here and thin nylon around here. I think this is going to be a failure point, if any. But so far, twisting, bending, there's not an awful lot of movement in it, so I think it's going to take a lot of abuse, but when it goes, it will just go, sort of instantly, and this back will go, but you can get replacement for this sort of thing. So to remove the top cover then, it was a little, so that dust cover, just position it so that button can pop through, and all we do is we push the button in, and that exposes our battery compartment, which I'll talk about after I've done the shooting tests. So the mag then, before I go and do the shooting test, the mag then is the AK style. This one is a high cap, and we've just got a hatch on top. We do not put BBs into there. We put them into here first. So we just pour our BBs in, lock that shut, and then we've got a winder underneath, so it winds towards you. Make sure you keep your mag upright. You'll see the BBs come up to the top, and you need to make sure that you keep winding until you get there's like a loud clicking noise it will make to indicate that the spring is fully wound. So these are typically about between 500 and 600 rounds in one of these. Now what I will do is, I've got a couple of Seamer mags knocking about, high caps and mid caps, that I will try with this as well, because I know at times they can be a little bit picky about what they accept. So we'll go and do the shooting test, and I'll be back in a second. Well, there was a bit of a low ball there, 206, how random. But then everything else is sort of, average is 283. You're getting 292, 293, 294, 292, 289. One off random, the rest have been fine, a bit unusual. Wow. Jesus. Wow. About 60-ish meters. About 10.5 rounds a second. Wow. Just over 18 rounds a second. So I am back then, and I'll be honest, it's actually kind of impressed me. A little bit slow on the rate of fire, which we'll come to in a second, but the range, so the range then is set probably for 2.5s about half adjustment, 50% adjustment, and that has given me well over 50 meters, probably 60 plus meters. I was really happy with the range. I wasn't expecting as good a range as that, and it really blew me away at how far it was hopping those out. The chrono, don't forget, this has been downgraded for the UK markets. So if you are buying it outside of the UK, I would expect sort of close to 400 FPS. So we were getting about 300 FPS out of it. But again, that depends on your retailer that's working on it and things like that. So just keep that in mind. And then in terms of rate of fire then, 7.4, about 10.5 round, fairly standard, fairly normal sort of rates of fire range, particularly on a stock AEG. Again, don't forget, a single BB is all it needs to take a player out. On an 11.1 then, sort of jumped up and jumped to life quite well, sort of around 18.5 rounds, and it really sort of, as we usually see, it just kind of comes alive at that point and sounds pretty damn good. So performance-wise, I am pretty happy with it, particularly considering this is, the more budget end of things. I was pretty impressed with it. The mags then, so obviously it fed absolutely lovely on its own mag. I tried my SEMA 170 round mags. They fed well. The double bell EK-47 mid cap fit and fed in it as well. That was quite a snug one. And then the SEMA high cap that I've got, I've got two actually. I've got a SEMA high cap and I've got a new Pro flash mag as well, the one with the little pull cord in the bottom. All fit and fed absolutely lovely in this. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. So I was really happy with that I've got more of a choice in terms of mags and things like that. So we're going to talk about batteries then. So I've got a variety of batteries then. So we're going to start with the chrono the rate of fire battery that I used, 7.4. So this is a nunchuck type, 2200 milliamp, which is easily Googleable. Now that's not going to go down there together. I can probably get one down and one the other way. It's a bit of a faff. In theory, I can probably get that under the cover, but it's not ideal. Where this is going to come into its own is the longer stick type. So this is a 1200 stick type, which should go quite nicely in there, and it will go all the way down. Now that's coming all the way down here, and it's giving me loads of room, so I can pull that back. A little bit disappointed that it's a mini Tamiya in there. I was hoping for a Dean's, but can't always be happy with everything, can we? But we've got plenty of room then that our cabling is accommodated. We're not likely to catch anything. So that's a 7.4. I've then got an 11.1, similar style, but it's an 11.1. Again, a little bit snugger going into there. Can't quite as easily get it all the way in there. Won't go all the way down, but I've still got adequate room to get the wiring in and get that top cover on, so that's quite handy. Now the one I'm really not sure about is this very stubby 11.1 1100, which I'm hoping might go down into there. It won't even go into that gap down there, so it's going to have to stay entirely, which is going to be a tall order, under the top cover. Plenty of room for the wiring, and just thinking it might get crushed down on here into the wiring. It's a little bit wide in any direction. I think that's going to be a struggle. The best bet really here, if you want an 11.1, is probably going to be this 1200 longer one, and then just manipulating the wiring around to get that wiring in place. So, quite small battery capacity space. Not ideal, but it's only what we're used to with other AKs that haven't got a battery stock in there. So next thing I'm going to move on to is I'm going to move on to gloved operation then. Thanks to the guys on my Discord that suggested this. If you have got a suggestion for a feature, please do drop onto my Discord and let me know what the idea is. Yes, I know about ranges. I am working on trying to get a better range where we can do a little bit more about groupings and accuracy and things like that. So let's have a look. In terms of using it then, I can easily get my mag in, get the mag out. In terms of this mag, there is a nice just overhang slightly on this catch here that I can get that open, I can get those in, I can easily get to winding it. What I will say as a side note is, with this extra lip around the winding wheel, I did find that it's a little bit of a pain to get my chunky digits in to wind that mag, where the other AK mags tend to have the wheel protruding slightly, so it's a little bit easier to just get hold of it. So it's just something to think about if you're going to be using it. In terms of the rest of the operation then, the front rear sight is easy enough to use and adjust. Not that we adjust it often. I can easily press the button in, flip the stock, lock the stock folded, release it with that button there and lock it back open again. I can operate the charging handle. I can definitely get to the hop. Again, that tactile thing of not sort of knowing how much hop am I applying is still in play there, and I can easily get that cover off, reseat it back in the lip there. So there's a little lip that it seats into, and I am happy that that is easy to operate from a sort of a gloved point of view. Get rid of those. Sling loop at the back is a nice touch. I'm right-handed, so that's probably going to be on the wrong side for me, but you could still make that work. I'm not sure how much I would trust that. You know, even more expensive brands, these clips are just pushed, nipped together there, so it may over time with a bit of weight and tugging just open that up and obviously come off eventually. So just something to think about. But overall, in terms of the whole thing, yes, the stock, do you know what I was going to say? There's a bit of wobble in the stock. There's virtually no wobble. There's a tiny bit of flex, but not an awful lot. You know, a lot of the sort of locking mechanisms and everything are metal, which is good. The sling loop obviously rattles. The top cover moves a little bit, as do the charging handle assembly. But generally speaking, it's pretty solid. Considering that's a nylon body, that is pretty damn solid, you know, as a piece of kit, and it feels nice. It's got a nice weight to it that you know you've definitely got something in your hands, but at the same time, it's the kind of weight where you are easily going to be able to sort of operate with that for a full day and not really worry about it. Twin that with the performance in terms of range and rate of fire, it's a pretty damn good platform, to be fair. I'm pretty impressed with it. So overall, I'm pretty happy. A little bit disappointed with the Mini Tamiya. The body did convince me at first that it was metal, but it's not. It is a nylon body. And you can sort of see from the markings that it's not exposed in shiny metal. It is a little bit shiny, but that's just the plastic. Basically, the matte is just been rubbed sort of smooth and things. So fantastic build. I'm really happy with it, particularly in the price range that it's at. It's pretty damn good. I'm looking forward to having a look at the internals of it shortly, so that will be linked down below if it's available, and this unboxing will be linked from that video as well if that's where you've come from. I'll leave the usual photos at the end. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.